My next claim is Democrats are more patriotic than Republicans.
This time we're going to look into another Jubilee video. The reason I'm doing this is that I realized I just really like analyzing the logic behind the debates. And I published a video and I just realized it. So this is the second one, and I love the fact that there is an unlimited source of information on the internet. So I think we're living in crazy times. An incredible amount of information is available to us. So get ready and please like and subscribe to my channel. Let's go.
My next claim is Democrats are more patriotic than Republicans.
The claim here is that Democrats are more patriotic than Republicans. First of all, this is very counterintuitive, and I suspect Dean proposed this prompt for the sake of its provocation, because in political landscape, patriotism is usually associated with the right wing. It's not just the US, though. If you have heard of what's happening in Korea right now, the South Korean president is under an impeachment trial right now, and people on the left have been for the impeachment and people on the right have been against it. But what I want to show you is that at the right-wing gatherings, you see a lot of signs directly related to Korea, like Save Korea or the national flag. But at the left-wing gatherings, you do not see a single national flag. So patriotism, general sense, is very hard to detach from the right wing unless you come up with a completely different argument. And the second part is that this is very hard to prove in a tangible manner. The only way you could do this is just pulling up a Gallup poll that asked both Democrats and Republicans if they're patriotic, and hypothetically, if the Democrats responded more positively toward patriotism. Otherwise, you have to define first what patriotism is, because, again, people define it differently. When people say they are patriotic, does that mean they want to devote their lives to the development of the nation? Is serving in the military a necessary and sufficient condition to be a patriot? Or if you do your best to contribute to the economic and technological advancement of the nation, are you now sufficiently a patriot? These are all valid questions, and that's why definitions matter when dealing with abstract topics.
I'm sorry, I'll let you go next. I'm gonna be quick. Hello, sir.
I would love to talk to him. Hey, welcome back down.
Okay, just for everyone's sake, I want you to tell me why you support your claim, and then I'll leave and people can yap at you. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I like this guy. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
I like this card person too. This is very wholesome. You can always help others, and the first step is to actually let your opponent elaborate on the basis of the argument, because Dean has the burden of the proof here.
So yeah, I think that Democrats are more patriotic than Republicans because Republicans are currently platforming Donald Trump. And Donald Trump had attempted to launch a coup on our federal government in an attempt to overturn and rig the results of the 2020 election. And there's 4 reasons I say this. The first reason I say this is Donald Trump capitalized on the January 6th riots to pressure Senate to postponing the votes. The second reason I say this is because Donald Trump sent fake slates of electorates to 7 different states to cast fake certificates of ascertainment into college to be certified as real by Mike Pence. The third reason I say this is because, he pressured Mike Pence into signing those fake certificates of ascertainment. And the fourth reason I say this is, this process of trying to circumvent our civil and electoral processes and literally trying to rig the outcome of the 2020 election is a direct threat and attack on our government and on our democracy, and it is ignoring the voice of every single American citizen that voted in the 2020 election. You and everybody around this room and anybody at home, if you voted in the 2020 election, Trump tried to make your vote null by installing fake certificates of ascertainment to make himself the president again. Okay. And that is the worst internal attack that we have had on our country since the Civil War.
Okay.
So the basic argument here is that Trump has a history of trying to undermine the democratic election process. There are 3 implicit arguments here. The first is undermining the democratic election process is not patriotic. And the second is the condition that invoked Trump's action is prevalent. And the third, if you support Trump, then you contribute to this sort of undermining attempt. I think the first part is also detachable into 2 pieces. One saying, undermining the democratic election process is anti-constitutional, and another one, equating the constitution to the nation. Anyways, we will grant the first part for the sake of the argument, because generally, if you love the country, why do you want to break the rules? But the logical leaps are the second one and the third one, and they're not really visible. First, was Trump's action a continuous plan from while he was in power, such that he actually planned a dictatorship and planned something similar to the Enabling Act? So equating what happened in 2020 to the future behavior, I think is a leap. And another one is the voter base does not have to agree with Trump's action. It's a huge assumption to make that the voter base thinks monolithically and identically to the agendas provided by the representative. This is a very famous composition fallacy. I think this could have been polished into a decent argument if this was a debate about the candidates.
I don't agree, but you guys can vote me out now.
Hello. Nice
Hey.
to meet you. Okay, so really bold, clear statement that Democrats are very patriotic. Let's talk about the actions of the Democrats being very glorious and loving our country.
Well, I would like to clarify.
Yeah,
My
clarify,
claim is not
please.
that Democrats are very patriotic. It is that they are more patriotic than Republicans, but I apologize for interrupting you.
But I apologize for interrupting you. I really like this attitude, and I think the efforts to make our conversation civil have to be recognized and appreciated more. And it's a really rare attitude. It's very polite. I really like it. But I also see this perspective on the left that the right-wing voter base is not voting for the nation, but voting for Trump. The perspective is that the voter base was driven by rather loyal Trump worship. But I don't know if it's a valid claim to make, because, first of all, Trump claims to be a nationalist, and the second is his famous slogan was "Make America Great Again."
We will make America great again.
It was mentioned in the previous debate, but it's easier to argue that these slogans are rather populist, and it was very iconic. Do you know the Democratic slogan? It was, "When we fight, we win." So there was a huge gap between how much these slogans resonated with people.
Okay, no, but I would like clarity on what are those actions, because in my understanding of Democrats being really patriotic is destroying the nuclear family, burning down flags, burning down buildings. I mean, we see just destruction in our cities. Did you see the trash and all the homelessness going out in LA? What is patriotic about supporting all of that? What is patriotic about supporting all the drugs that are coming in, all the things that we're allowing, the human sex trafficking, allowing all these things and policies going on? What is patriotic about that? What screams "I love America" of people?
I actually wanted to pause here and wanted to comment on Dean's demeanor. And I think demeanor really matters in this case, in this sort of confrontational conversation. And I really think he's actually listening to the other side, so it's really appreciated.
You said that. You said that Democrats support, right?
No, I'm just asking, what are the patriotic acts that show? Because what patriotism means to me is kneeling for those who have sacrificed for our country. My father has served 30 years in the military, right? That is 30 years that he is not getting back, that he has fought for his country, laid down his life for. What is patriotic that the Democrats are doing, that are saying, hey, I'm going to lay my life down and not be egotistic and individualistic, and I'm going to serve and look out for others, look out for the next generation? What is it? So that's what I'm asking. To make that statement clear, what does that look like at the Democratic Party?
I actually think that's a great question.
I think it can be really, really persuasive when you sometimes agree with the opponent and show signs that you're also a reasonable person. I think that was a really nice move.
And the answer to your question would be a fight to protect and preserve the state of our democracy. I think that you listed off a whole cohort of claims there that were typically engaged in by Democrats that have been anti-patriotic, such as burning the flag, such as burning down buildings in the riots. And I agree with you, right? I think that those are clear displays of anti-patriotic behaviors. Do I necessarily disagree with them all the time? No, I don't think that it's wrong to burn the American flag if it's in protest of actions of the American government.
So Dean brings up flag burning. If you're familiar with Jonathan Haidt and his moral foundation theory, in his literature he argues that the left wing and the right wing have somewhat different moral foundations, and one of the moral foundations for the right wing is sanctity. And flag burning typically is considered a violation of sacred symbol. So if you're interested, go check it out. Flag burning is legal in the US, but in some other countries it is not. So
But my claim here is that there's nothing less patriotic than supporting Donald Trump, a man that has already tried to destroy our country internally by overthrowing the results, attempting to overthrow the results of the 2020.
Okay, I completely understand that statement. I don't agree with that, but we're not talking about Donald Trump. We're talking about your statement
Well,
that
that's the
Democrats are
reason why-
patriotic.
Well,
so I'm
let's-
asking about
let's
the
again-
actions are what, because we can keep tying in Kamala and Donald into this, but that they are not the reason of being a conservative or a Democrat. It's the morals, it's the values, and the actions
Yeah,
that you are reflecting.
So now we have seen Dean's argument, but here, if we grant the argument for the sake of the discussion, and on top of that, we will assume that Democrats do not have the burden to prove that they never undermined the system, such as skipping the primary, then what we get is a conclusion from his perspective that Trump is a power mad individual, but still the question remains, because then, yeah, so being a power mad individual isn't great, but does supporting him necessarily carry the same implication? Because this is the third point that I made in the previous section, but this might sound somewhat morally repugnant, but you can still argue, hey, despite all the flaws of Trump, supporting him is better for the nation in our patriotic viewpoint. Like saying, we don't like that either, but we still need him. Kind of attitude. Do you understand? And just attacking Trump does not automatically negate the claim, because the original claim is not Trump is less patriotic. It's Republicans are less patriotic. So we're talking about people, not one person. Again, literally the best way to solve this is go to the very original claim and see what the polls say. I think there are two major ways to play this, assuming you don't have the Gallup poll or the Gallup poll contradicts your claim. First, you have to narrow down the definition of patriotism to, for example, systematic assistance to the citizens if you have convincing evidence that Democrats are far outpacing Republicans. I think social welfare is a classic left-leaning argument, so I think it's better to work on it.
Of course,
You're
I understand you. And the
consuming.
morals
So
and the
what
values
are
and the
those
actions
that you are
reflected.
doing
The morals,
as a Democrat,
of course,
as a liberal,
of course.
what are you reflecting that's benefiting your
course,
country?
of course,
'Cause
great
these
question.
socialism policies, these individualistic
socialism?
policies, these I want to consume, these egotistic policies, these you should worship in closed doors and proximities. Don't open the Bible in school. Don't say the Pledge of Allegiance. All
Okay, do
these
you mind
things
if I
that we
respond?
see. No, yes. Just let me clarify. We'll
ahead.
finish real quick. So all these things that we see, we're being forced as conservatives to shut that down, to be quiet, to be banned. So how are we talking about free speech, freedom of religion, loving, and all this stuff? These are all things that you guys are proclaiming, but
Yeah, so do you agree
don't
with freedom
really
of
see
religion?
that. Of course.
So then you wouldn't agree with Trump's attempted Muslim ban.
Again, we're not talking about Trump. I'm asking for policies talking about how are Democrats really
Yeah, sure. Let's go over them. So first, I think that fighting for the freedoms of all 170 million American women by reinstituting federal protections for access to healthcare, that's going to be caring about the
So
US
abortion.
citizens. I think that yes. I think that fighting.
Okay. Just want to make that clear. I'm sorry, I just want to make that clear because there's a lot of
Okay, do you mind if I finish?
terminology.
Here, I kind of feel bad for him, but I think it's respectable that he asked again. Do you mind if I finish here? But fast forward, the conversation gets really, really intense around this point.
And then I'd also please, please.
Yo.
Let me finish, please.
I think his debate opponents were often unnecessarily aggressive in this section, in my opinion, but also this isn't something that is totally unexpected, because the prompt talks about literally the people like you and I, and claims you guys are less patriotic than us, kind of argument. So makes people unsettled.
Other actions have you seen that the Democratic Party has just showed? Again, I love America.
Of course, right? So I mean,
You
if
guys
you want to
don't
talk about.
celebrate the- Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Anyways, some of the key takeaways here are, first, if you are seeing things from one perspective, it's very tempting to think the other side monolithically believes in the things that you detest. I think it happens both ways, and this temptation will lead you to make arguments approximating people with some floating ideas. And as Selena pointed out here, the argument is about people and doesn't necessarily align with the argument about their representative. Also, when you argue for something that is pretty counterintuitive, the definitions matter so much. Trump himself said he's a nationalist. He's accused of being fascist, like an ultranationalist, and it's pretty hard to draw a strong, tangible line between nationalism and patriotism. Also, I wish someone would come up and say, hey, I like you, you're very civil, you're an American and I'm an American, even though we disagree on a lot of things. The prompt was unnecessary, and I hope we both love our country. And I think that's something I would have hoped for if I was in the debate. But anyways, there's a new Jubilee video with Alex O'Connor. I'm really excited about this. So that'll be my next video. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any opinions or comments, please leave them in the comment section, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you next time. Bye bye.